Hello boys and girls, Andy Rafael from etechnics.com here, and we're doing something a little bit different today. We're carrying on with the reviews like we normally would, but it's come to my attention, probably be better if you can see me, it's come to my attention that we do our video reviews very poshly. We try to get everything really professional, we take loads of takes at actually doing it, and it just generally takes us a long time, and then there's all the editing as well, where we have to get the videos sort of all together and just sort of combine them and make sure that it all looks okay. So to be honest, I can't be bothered doing it anymore, to put it blunt. It just takes too long, so we're going to try and do things all in one take and sort of see from there. Just a quick thing, you can see a little blue light flashing there. That's nothing important, that's the Revo Drive X2 flashing from the test bench just over there, just in case you're wondering what that is. So yeah, we're going to do a review of the Gigabyte P67A-UD7, and we're not going to do it all professional, no white backdrop like we've had in the past, no sort of going through the specs, because to be honest you can get the specs from Gigabyte's website or from ours when we got the written review up, so nothing sort of too spectacular there. Our reviews now are really going to consist of showing you the product, unboxing it, as well as just generally showing you what the product is, what's so special about it, and so forth. And quite a good time to be doing that actually, because the motherboard that we're looking at is quite special. Sli Bridge, everyone loves the new Sli Bridge processors and the new P67 systems. As you may know or may not know, H67 and P67. H67 basically gives you the integrated graphics of a Sli Bridge processor, whereas P67, like this, doesn't. It gives you the overclocking options and things like that, hence the unlock performance. And then obviously there's Z68, which is coming out, which is going to combine the both, so you'll be able to get the integrated graphics with the overclocking potential, so H67, P67 sort of together. So yeah, that's going to be Z68. Either way, let's move on to the Gigabyte P67A-UD7. It's an ultra durable free motherboard, and it does give you a very nice picture on the front, and obviously this is what the passive cooling design is going to look like, and the socket. Usual things, supports Intel inside, chipset's P67 and delivers maximum CPU power, and it's for LGA 1155 CPUs only. So yeah, that's the front of that. Nothing too exciting on the side or this side, just sort of the specs in features and benefits in different languages. Turning it around though, on the back we can see a lot more information there on the P67A-UD7. It's the industry's first 24-phase CPU power VRM design. What processor support it's got: i5, i7, i3, eSATA, USB 3, 3-way NVIDIA SLI and ATI Crossfire X. Just in case you're wondering if it's one or the other, you can actually do both. And just like Gigabyte, it's got the 333 onboard acceleration with it as well. So lots of great features there. It's just the usual really that you see on a box. Nothing too exciting, unless you haven't bought a motherboard in a while. Then obviously this is all going to scream out to you and you're going to think, wow, this is fantastic. So turning it back around to the front, there is a little hidden part. This front bit's actually a panel which sort of pulls over, and we get a view of the motherboard, well, of the socket and sort of the memory banks. And then this little bit here sort of shows you how the cooling comes into effect. And then moving this over, we can see here some more information on the features that are already listed on the back. 3-way SLI, 3-way graphics, debug LED, Smart 6, all them sort of patented designs and features that Gigabyte include. So closing that down, let's open this bad boy up. So this isn't the B3 revision, so it has got the dreaded, well, potential dreaded SATA problems, but we've got a Revo drive that we generally use, so not too fussed about that, and it's still got all the same features as the B3, even though it's not the B3. So we're still going to show you it, whether you like it or not. So opening this up, the box is actually split into two, so you've got a box here with the motherboard in. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Just want to go through the accessories first. So boxes, boxes, boxes everywhere, so chuck them on the floor and then we can have a look at the accessories. So, opening this up, we've got a few different sort of compartments with all the accessories inside. So we have some serial ATA cables, and as you can see they have got the metal clips on, and sort of one in each bag is right angled whilst the other is just a normal serial ATA, but they all have clips on, even though clips are pretty much redundant in these days because people are using SSDs, and a lot of the SSDs can't use the clips that are on them SATA cables. So other little things that we get an Sli bridge, we get another Sli bridge, but this time it's a chunky version, a 3-way Sli, just in case you have got more money than sense, you can have that. There's a couple of case badge stickers in here as well. You get Dolby Home Theatre. I mean, who uses these days, but I guess some people do. And a Gigabyte branded case badge sticker as well, very shiny. I/O panel plate for you users out there who are unlike me and actually use computer cases. I'm always using test benches, so I never really get a chance to use I/O panels. But you can see that straight away there's a lot of features on here, from the audio, USB, Firewire, LAN, SP-Diff out and coaxial, as well as the PS2 mouse and keyboard connector. It's a shame that I never get to use these, but there you go. In here we get a sort of bag split into 3 compartments, and on the first one is an expansion bay bracket, and that's got an eSATA port there, Molex connector and another eSATA port, and then here you get the relevant cables, which it's quite a dark bag, but I'll explain that you've got in there SATA and Molex. So yeah, that just connects in, and obviously this has got the connections there for the SATA. And then we've got some eSATA cables as well that come included. So anyone who's got an external drive that's eSATA, there you go. And we get a few other little bits and bobs, the usual utility driver CD, chipsets, serial ATA RAID, and a few applications, Adobe Acrobat Reader and Norton. Always get the latest drivers though from the manufacturer's website, in this case Gigabyte. We get a user's manual, which guides and diagrams and all sorts, and that's all in English. And there is also a French sort of very brief manual, and also a multilingual installation guidebook. So just in case you are from a country that doesn't speak English, you won't be able to understand what I'm saying now, but yeah, you've got the guide there sort of ready and waiting. And this is just a big warning sort of label which says about socket 1155 and 1156. Because they look so alike, it's just telling you which one's right and which one's wrong, just in case you bought the motherboard and you bought the wrong processor to go with it. You bought 1156 and not 1155. You may get confused, try and install it and break everything. So that's all the accessories that come with it. So if we just move that, we can then bring the motherboard back into shot. Now it does come with a plastic, lose the focus there, it does come with a bit of plastic just to protect it, and then it comes in this sort of box. Taking it out of there, a little bit of protective foam, and then we have the Gigabyte P67A-UD7, which is one of the top Sli Bridge boards at the moment, and what we're going to do is just sort of show you the main features of it, why you should buy it and or shouldn't buy it, maybe depending on your budget and things like that, maybe you buy it, maybe you won't, but we'll just sort of go through exactly what it's got. So what I'm going to do is bring the tripod in closer with the camcorder, and you can sort of see all the features from the processor to the memory to the expansion slots, the cooling, and what other little features, gimmicks and gadgets this board has. So let's just bring the tripod in a little bit closer once I've moved my boxes out of the way. Right, so this is the P67A-UD7. I'll just tilt this down. And what we've essentially got here is a motherboard that's aimed at not really a niche market. Overclockers are sort of everywhere these days. We've actually got a HW bot team, so be sure to check that out. But yeah, what you can see here is the P67UD7. Very nice board, looks very nice in a sort of grey and black and gold colouring, so it's really going to stand out in your case, and it looks quite extreme. It doesn't look like a cheap motherboard, it does look like it's got a lot of quality to it. And straight away you can see the CPU socket there's not mass amounts of room around it, so you may have some trouble with CPU coolers. We know that one of the CPU coolers we've got, which is it's nothing special, it's only a Cooler Master Hyper TX3, but once it's actually installed over the socket, it is very hard to sort of get clearance between where the fan sits and the memory. So if you have got massive coolers, we're yet to try the Noctua sort of DH14, C14, things like that. But once we do try them, we can sort of comment back on what the clearance is like with this motherboard, because there isn't a mass amount of room. But you can see it's got this passive cooling design around the CPU socket, which goes down into the sort of South Bridge, North Bridge area, goes around the CPU socket, and looks very nice, aesthetically pleasing, as they say. It's got a 7 over here, denoting for the UD7, ultra durable, and Gigabyte branding on there. You can see the CPU socket has got a few different sort of logos just around it. If I open this up, take this off, you can see the pins, which look very shiny, and what I'll do is just zoom in so you can see that a bit better. So there you go. So CPU socket over here, and you can see these various different logos for the Dolby Home Theatre, NVIDIA SLI, Serial ATA 6 GB per second, and ATI Crossfire X. So like most men, we don't read manuals, so it's nice just knowing straight away that it's got these features without having to sort of delve into the manual. Just down from that you can see the memory banks. I'm going to zoom out again, other way. The memory banks are down here. There's 4, so dual channel. Nothing spectacular really there. It does accept speeds up to 2133 megahertz. Obviously, if you have got slower memory, you can always overclock it, and that's what we're going to be doing with this board. We're going to see how well it overclocks, and sort of take it from there, see how it fares in the benchmarks, and we'll be doing all that in the sort of written side of this review. Just down from the memory, we can see there's a power button just here, which looks very shiny, with the word power on there. There's a few other little buttons here, there, and everywhere. ATX power connectors just here. And then if we move over to here, we can see that we have serial ATA connections, and this does support SATA 6G, and you can see that we have 6 black ones, 2 white ones. Obviously this isn't a B3 motherboard, so it may have the problems with the SATA degrading over time, but it's not going to really worry us too much. Just down from that you can see there's a debug LED just here, which is always good for overclockers, especially like ourselves. We don't believe in cases, so this is going to be sitting on a test bench, and it's just nice to know if there are any problems we can refer to this. Although motherboard manufacturers never really tell you what the debug codes are, so generally you have to Google for it. Next to that though, we can see the Cmos Battery and a few of the front panel connectors. I'm just going to swivel the board around, zoom in again, and you can see all the front panel connectors. So over here is usual sort of power switches, LEDs, front panel USB, and there's a fan header here and some other ones here, and it also features the on-off charge feature that Gigabyte have on their boards as well. And some more fan headers down here. Some are 3-pin, some are 4-pin. So depending on your fans, if you've got PWM fans, that's always very, very nice to have. Moving on to the expansion bays, I'm going to zoom out again. Expansion bays, or expansion slots, graphics card and expansion card slots. You can see there's quite a lot and they're all black. So at the top we have a PCI Express X1 slot. There's also a PCI Express X16, X8. There's another one here. So if you are using sort of, you know, multiple graphics card setups, this is really, really handy. There's also another one down here. Depending on sort of how you run your graphics cards will determine what speed the slots run at. So we've got the 16, 8, 8, another 8 down here. And then you've got some legacy PCI slots, because there are a lot of users out there who have still got USB cards, TV cards that still operate on the PCI interface. So you've got these two slots down here, but the rest are PCI Express, sort of the same size, you know, X16 or X8, and then you've got the PCI Express 1 slot over here. So yeah, if you were going to use Crossfire or NVIDIA SLI, you're probably going to end up using this slot, and this slot, just because of the clearance of the graphics cards, especially these days, because a lot of graphics cards are sort of, you know, dual slot. So that's it really for the expansion bays. Also front panel, forgot to tell you, there's this one down here which is Firewire for users who still live in the last century. It comes with a little cap on it as well. I don't know who uses Firewire now though. I mean, we're filming this on a camcorder, but that's going to plug in via USB. So yeah. Other features that we've got on here, you may be able to see just down here is your front panel audio connectors, and next to it does say USB 3, because on the back of this, on the I/O panel, we have got some USB 3 connectors. And if I actually break out the I/O panel that we had earlier, we can show you how this would actually look, you know, if it was in your case, like so. So straight away, as it denotes there, for the not so expert users, for the novice users, it's really handy because it's color coded and gives you little diagrams. Keyboard, mouse, so you've got a combo port there. I'm actually going to just put that there. So yeah, you've got a combo port for your keyboard and mouse up here. 2 USB ports, they are blue, which means that we have USB 3. You've got a SPDIF optical out port here, as well as coaxial. Up here you've got your Firewire. There are 2 types of Firewire ports, so depending on your device, what you're connecting, if you're using Firewire, not quite sure who uses it anymore, but you've got the larger Firewire connector and the smaller. And then there's 2 USB connections here, which is just a USB, not USB 3. As you can tell, they're not blue. Then underneath is some eSATA ports. Even though you do get the expansion sort of accessory that comes with it with eSATA on there, there are 2 more here, because apparently a lot more people are using eSATA. I am still yet to use it, apart from sort of for testing. I don't use it personally, so I honestly don't think it's that big of a thing, but there you go. There's some more USB 3 over here. We've got 2 connectors here, another 2 here, and above it Gigabit LAN. And then over here is your sort of old school analog audio. I always use digital, so that doesn't really appeal to me, but obviously it has to have both connections because not everyone has digital speakers. Other than that, that is really it. You've got your standard 8-pin power connector here with a fan header next to it. I'm just going to put the CPU socket back down and zoom back out. So that's the P67A-UD7. I'm not quite sure, Gigabyte always sort of put an A in it, so it's P67A-UD7. But that's the motherboard. It accepts all of the 2nd generation Intel core processors, i3, i5 and i7. when we do our tests, we're actually going to be running it with an i5 2500K, and we're going to be running it with 4 gig of Kingston DDR3 1600 megahertz memory, which is specific for the Sli Bridge platform. And we'll have loads of benchmarks to sort of see how the processor goes, how it copes with the motherboard, how well the motherboard overclocks, because that's what everyone is going on about lately. Yeah, everyone's going on about sort of overclocking with Sli Bridge, and I will tell you now, I'm just going to zoom this up. I know you're probably staring at my funky slippers and all these lovely cases, which we will get round to reviewing. But yeah, everyone's wondering about overclocking, especially on the Sli Bridge platform, and I will tell you now, we had it at, I think it was 1.52 volts, but we had this board with our i5 2500K at 5 gigahertz, which to some that may be quite a big accomplishment. That was really our first look at Sli Bridge to see what it could do, and so far really pleased. 5 gigahertz is amazing to me. I mean, I've always been an AMD person myself, so it sort of adds to it a little bit more, because I've always been with AMD. I can overclock a Phenom 2X6-1100T to sort of high heaven. As soon as I go onto Intel, it was a bit of a new chapter in my life, but yeah, it was really easy. It is just a matter of upping the multiplier. If you don't get the results you want, just up the VCore a little bit, and it's that simple. The memory stays where it is, PCI Express frequencies, everything stays the same, because you don't touch the bus. Being a K chip, it's got an unlocked multiplier, so you just up it, and obviously if you don't get the results you want, up the VCore. So we only went up to sort of 1.52 volts, I think it was, but I am prepared to stick a really beefy cooler on it, maybe one from Noctua or Cooler Master V8, or maybe one of the Antec Cooler 920s once that comes in, to see how it sort of fares underwater, and then I can sort of bump it up 1.6, 1.7 volts and see if we can get it close to 6 gigahertz. I know people that have run it on air under 1.7 and got sort of 5.6 gigahertz. And if he's watching this video, yeah, I'm talking about you. That'll be Dave from clunk.org.uk, good website. So yeah, if you check out the written review that we're going to have up on this board, although you might already be watching it, because we embed all our videos from YouTube to eTechnics, you may already be watching this video on eTechnics, and therefore you've probably read the review, because this video will be on the last page. So thanks for reading. If not though, if you are watching it on YouTube, check the description box below, and you'll be able to sort of see how we got on with it overclocking wise, because I am going to try and push it a little bit further, and also you can see how we did on the benchmarks in regards to memory tests, CPU tests, and just general what people are going to use it for. But the main thing to us, especially with Sli Bridge, is the overclocking. So yeah, we're going to see how that goes and take it from there. Hopefully it's given you an idea on the P67 motherboard, UD7 from Gigabyte, and it is a great board. Just by the basis of the overclocking, straight away we think this is a great board. And that was fully stable as well. We run OCCT, Lynx, and we also ran Prime 95, and everything was running absolutely flawlessly at them voltages. So I've even got a feeling that at 5 gigahertz I could probably drop the VCore down from 1.52 and just keep dropping it down. But if there is instability issues, then obviously that will be picked up on. So enough of me rambling. Until next time, we will have a lot more Sli Bridge boards to review. We've got them cases that you saw down here to review, the HalfX, the Bitfinex Colossus, we've got an Antec 1200 down there as well. We're going to have loads of new stuff on the website. Loads of competitions as well. I will tell you now, head over to eTechnics.com. Something big, really big is happening, is going on. I can tell you a little bit, but I can only tell you as much as I know. We're going to be building 3 sort of gaming rigs. There's going to be the budget gamer, which is going to be under sort of air cooling. The sort of mainstream gamer, which is going to be a mixture, like a hybrid of air and liquid cooling. So you're going to see the likes of an Antec Cooler 620, but the graphics card's going to be sort of stock air cooled. And then there's going to be the extreme gamer rig, which is going to be one beefy, mad, mental son of a bitch of a system, which is going to feature most likely sort of full water cooling on the CPU and on the GPU. They're all going to have, hopefully, SSDs sorted in there. It's just a matter of we need to speak to the manufacturers and get the parts sorted. But so far we know that the cases are confirmed. That's all going to be BitPhoenix cases. You're going to have a Colossus, a Shinobi and a Survivor. Obviously the Colossus is going to be probably the extreme one. And Antec are supplying the power supplies. We're going to have sort of a high-tech gamer, high-tech pro, high-performance power supplies, and they're going to be really, really beefy. And then obviously the CPU cooling, we're going to have the cooler box, the 620 cooler and the 920 water cooling units as well. So head over to etechnics.com, you won't regret it. Sign up, post some stuff in the forums, get the place active and going. Until we actually decide on what parts are going to be included in the actual bundle, the whole gaming rig, then we can sort of decide on how you can actually win it, because we really want to get a buzz going about this competition. Still need to talk to AMD and Intel about getting the processors. Hopefully Gigabyte are going to be supplying the board, so you might actually see this board in one of the systems. Hopefully even a Z68 board. Now that would be very, very nice, but obviously they're not out yet. I can't say too much about it, NDAs and all that. So yeah, enough of me rambling on. Check out etechnics.com, sign up, be sure to read, there is a thread about winning a gaming rig. Be sure to go on there, register your interest in it, and we will be back with some more reviews on some motherboards and other bits and bobs, cases, the whole works, and also on all the competitions and everything. Thank you very much. My name's Andy Rafael from etechnics.com, and I hope you enjoyed this video. See you later.